Well, hello and welcome to my channel. So today I got some updates for everyone. So let's get right into this. About couple of months ago, I won't say the name, but I got something for you on the second channel. Will be uploading soon. That going to record again and post it on the second channel. There won't be a serial name, names, all kind of that. It will be all 3 parts. In one video. So it's good. It will be uploaded in the coming days. So that's good. So I'm way on to the recreation series. So episode 3 will be the history of trains in Ontario. Let's look back of railways of the past century in Ontario. I got couple of websites to show you, including the history of railway map that will be put on the video. So let's read the first part of the couple of websites that will show. This one from the Toronto Public Library website, the typepad, and let's read it. Ontario's defunct railways of the past. Ontario has a rich history of railway companies. In its earliest days, railways transported people and materials to develop infrastructure, cities and more, routes throughout the province and across Canada. Many companies were temporarily successful but then faced bankruptcy and were absorbed by large railways such as the Canadian Pacific Railway and Canadian National Railway. Several railways are now defunct, but they still have historical significance. The 2 railways that currently forever, CP Rail and CN Rail. but now the overrun. Algoma Central and Hudson Bay Railway Company. The Algoma Central Railway Company originally was part of the industrial complex in Salt Lake, Missouri, developed by Francis H. Craig, was incorporated by a special act of the Ontario Legislature in 1899. It chartered around the company to construct the construction of a railway between Salt Lake, Missouri and the CPR with branches up to 12 miles in length, and to operate telephone and telegraph lines, to operate steamships, to build and operate dock facilities, and the right to secure grants and aid from government bodies. In 1990, the Algoma Central Railway Company changed its name to the Algoma Central Corporation, and the company was divided into three district operating groups: Algoma Central Marine, Algoma Central Railway, Goggin Mines, and Algoma Central Properties. In 1994, the Algoma Central Corporation sold its facilities at Michigan, hard one. Curtin Harbor. Then in 1995, a deal with Wisconsin Central Railway to purchase the rolling stock was reached, with the roadbeds, rails, buildings, yards, and land corridor being purchased by the province and leased to Wisconsin Central Railway. In 1997, the Algoma Central Corporation sold its considerable land holdings near of Salt Lake, Missouri to the McDonald Investment Company Inc. of Birmingham, Alabama, and in 1998 moved its offices to St. Catharines, near close to Niagara Falls, and for 40-minute drive from Hamilton, to be in closer contact with its Great Lakes shipping fleet, which is now the company's primary focus. Next one, Brockville and Ottawa Railway Tunnel. Say from the Brockville's Railway Tunnel website, Canada's first railway tunnel was completed in 1816 for the Brockville and Ottawa Railway, and later owned by the Canadian Pacific Railway until being acquired by the city of Brockville in 1983. I know, I went to Brockville last year, back in 2020, to get essential needs before heading to Ottawa for 4 days. The historic tunnel is a remarkable example of Canada's pre-Confederation industrial heritage that, and in inaugurate restoration project repurposed for recreation, tourism, and economic development. To read a full history of the tunnel, there's gonna be a link in the description. Next up, Toronto's Union Station, the old one. Above it's the second Union Station, 1873 to 1927. Construction of the third Union Station began in 1915 but was delayed by a wartime shortage of construction workers, financing, and building materials as well as the impending insolvency of the Canadian Northern and Grand Trunk Railways. The new Union Station was completed in 1920. It didn't open to the public for another several years, while the railways and the city continued to argue over the approach tracks. But finally, on August 10, 1927, all trains were shifted to Toronto's new Union Station, and dismantling the old station began. The process was nearly a long year long. The old building on Front Street turned into an office building in 1895, but was demolished in 1941. Next up, another one. I live in the great city of Hamilton forever. But let's continue on that. Through the 1800s, the Hamilton excitement was a major obstacle for the city's growth, but that changed on June 11, 1892, when the Hamilton and Barton and Quam Railway opened. It was followed 3 years later by the Mount Hamilton and Quam Railway, which later became known as the Wentworth Street and Quam Railway. They both closed in the 1930s as people turned to automobiles like cars, trucks, SUVs on newly improved roads as the most efficient way to climb the mountain. Next on to the final one on the first website, Sion Swan Wheels. The museum in Quinton, Ontario, from Swan Wheel Railcar Museum. Going to put on link on the description, but let's read the last one from this website. The CN Swan Wheels program travel along CN track in remote Northern Ontario for 39 years. There were 7 such Sewell cars in Northern Ontario. Mr. Sewellman had one of the longest tenures as a teacher in these rowing schools, riding the rails and teaching in this mobile classroom, while in the same rail car, he and his wife Kara lived, raised, and taught their own 5 children. The CN trains traveling the 200 kilometers between the Capua and Follet would move the Soul car from siding to siding, allowing Fred Roman to teach and bring the outside world to the isolated children of the North, which included those of newly immigrated railway section workers living along the line, woodsmen, hunters, trappers, and indigenous peoples. Alright, that's it. The first website. Go and search. The second. Here we go. Erie, Ontario Railroad. In 1831, the new Welland Canal, built under the direction of William Hamilton Merritt, was completed. As a result of this new mode of transportation, business along the British Road diminished. In order to compete with the canal, the businessmen of the British Road formed the Erie Ontario Railway Company. The original application for a charter to form the Erie Ontario Railway Company was turned down by the provincial legislature in 1832 and 1833. On April 16, 1835, the Erie Ontario Railway Company received a government charter to begin operation. Construction soon began on the railroad, and it will be the first railroad in Canada. At a general meeting on September 7, 1835, civil engineer James Archibald of Louisville, Pennsylvania, was awarded the contract to build this railroad. The railway was completed within 5 years after construction had started. On July 3, 1845, the Erie Ontario Railroad began operations from Chappawa to Niagara. The railroad gauge was much wider for horse-drawn carriages and shared track from Stamford to Creighton with the Great Western Railroad, of the Canadian National Railroad. The carriages were box-like compartments with doors on each side, along with running boards to allow easier access. The seats ran across, and each carriage had room about 20 passengers. Luggage was carried on the roof, and the driver had an outside seat at roof level. The carriage had 4 wheels and was pulled along at 30 kilometers. The start of the railroad at the Creighton Depot, located at the northeast of the river's edge, which is today York Road and Front Street. The team of 3 horses used to pull the rail cars up the excitement were switched for a fresh term consisting of 1 or 2 horses to continue the remainder of the journey. This stopover became known as the Sanford Halfway. In 1852, the Erie Ontario Railroad applied for and was granted a revision to its charter, allowing for a change to steam power. In 1853, the Erie Ontario Railway relocated its tracks from bushlands to pass through the new centers of the settlements. The relocation resulted in the Erie Ontario Railway passing much closer to the Niagara River from Chippewa to Clifton. In 1854, the Erie Ontario Railroad extended its service northward from Crescent to Niagara-on-the-Lake. The extension allowed the railway to connect to an already established Lake Ontario steamer service docking at Niagara-on-the-Lake. In the same year, the Great Western Railroad proposed to buy the Erie Ontario Railway, but their shareholders did not approve. Following Zimmerman's death, the Erie Ontario Railroad changed its name to the Fort Erie Railway Company. In 1862, the Fort Erie Railroad Company was purchased by William Thompson, and in 1863, the company became known as the Erie Niagara Railroad. In 1864, the Erie Niagara Railway was extended southward from Chippewa to the Fort Erie Ferry Dock. From here, the railroad provided passenger service to the many crossing passengers crossing the Niagara River by a ferry boat from Buffalo. The Buffalo Fort Erie ferry boat service continued until 1873, when the International Railway Bridge spanning the upper Niagara River between Buffalo and Fort Erie was built. In 1864, there was 1 train trip per day running from Buffalo to Niagara-on-the-Lake. The train left Buffalo at 7, arrived at Niagara-on-the-Lake by noon. Return trip starts at 2, back to Buffalo at 7. In 1873, the Canadian Southern Railroad, named from was running from 3 trains per week per day between Fort Erie and Niagara-on-the-Lake. And that Canadian Southern Railway began advertising the Falls View, and all-day trains were stopped 15-20 minutes at this location for sightseeing purposes. Fast trains were stopped for 5 minutes before continuing. In 1925, renamed railroad again, Michigan Central Railroad, discontinuing rail service from Fort Erie to Chippewa. 1929, the New York Central Railroad leased the Michigan Central Railroad for 99 years. And on January 2nd, they began operations along the former Michigan Central Railway right away through the center of Niagara Falls. Lots of name changes. The Conner Railroad, but 1983, the Canadian National Railway and Canadian Pacific Railway purchased the Conrail system. The city of Niagara Falls on the relocation of the rail line in order to ensure safety for all passengers, but never happened. In 1965, 1970, and 1972, rail relocation estimated cost $7.2 million. 1970, $9 million. 1972 to $10 million. Money, money, money. Between 1999 and 2001, the city of Niagara Falls, in situation with the province of Ontario and Casino Niagara Falls Management Company, negotiate a purchase of this 10.6 kilometer, 6.5 miles long, by 3 meters, 100 feet wide railway right away from the Canadian Pacific Railroad for $39.5 million. The deal was closed on December 19, 2001. All Canadian Pacific Railway trains are now being rerouted along the Canadian National Railway, crossing the Niagara River by use of the International Railway Bridge, Buffalo to Fort Erie. And today, as shown, crane is located at the corner of Henry Avenue and Mildred Street that commemorates the Erie Ontario Railroad as the first railroad in Upper Canada and the third in the province of Ontario. Alright, last year, this December 2021, last one, the Orangeville-Brampton Railway. It's a 55-kilometer third line railway between Orangeville and Streetsville Junction in Mississauga. It passed through Brampton and Caledon. It was built in the 1870s by the Credit Valley Railway, with construction completed to Orangeville in 1879, with a branch to Elora. Passenger service between Toronto and Owen Sound via Brampton and Orangeville ended in 1970. The Elora branch was abandoned in 1987. The Orangeville Owen Sound trackage was abandoned in 1995. The town of Orangeville purchased the Mississauga Orangeville trackage between mile 2.2 to mile 44.6 from the CP rail on September 29, 2000 to ensure the line continue until December 17, 2021. In early 2018, it was announced that after years of operation for the town, with the lease candle will be this continuous contract to operate the line effective at the end of June 2018. As a result, a new operator was being sought by the town to run the line. Facing a certain future, the credit-fired store made its final ones in February 2018, and the 3 passenger cars were sold off to the Waterloo Central Railway after the final freight runs by the Candle in late June 2018. New contractor Trillium Railway, based in Nahiga region, committed its rail operations on the OBRY starting July 2018 with a leased locomotive. But a decision was made by the Orangeville Brampton SS Group, resulted in the termination of service on the line effective December 31st, 2021. The last leader of the line will be Trillium Rail and Orangeville Mayor Brown. Success, the line may become a recreational trail. The last train out of Orangeville was December 17, 2021. Also, the plans on the GO train ascension to Orangeville made it so once by a bus service from Brampton to Orangeville. There may be answers into that. I just wondering, can this not be developed into a GO train route? It would so be great to have quick connection to Brampton, Toronto. Just trying to understand why this happened be considered and why it is not possible. The answer is currently the Orangeville Brampton Railway can only accommodate trains that don't exceed 25 kilometers an hour. That's pretty a slow GO train. But plans are off. But here is, we've been told GO Transit Bus Route 37 Orangeville to Brampton average about 16 passengers per trip. That's not even enough to fill a bus, let alone a GO train. GO Transit has considered cancelling bus routes in Bolton, Milton, and Cambridge, and leave Bolton, Milton behind. Their ridership numbers were comparable to Route 37. Very low ridership like 9. So that's it for the video. More the recreation series. 3 more to come. We will do 6 episodes on this channel. And see you next time. Peace out.